suck down all the nutrients. They suck out the water. And not all that stuff goes to your tomatoes or your rose bushes or whatever it is that you're growing. So you have to make sure that the weeds are taken out. Our responsibility in the garden is to make sure the weeds were out of it. So the grain representing fellowship with Yahweh Elohim by and through his word is also shudad, ruined, spoiled, and devastated. The new wine, being the grapes in the fields, represents the covenant blessings of Yahweh, and these are chovish, meaning not only dried up, but withered from a lack of water, a lack that is brought on because the weeds and the thorns, again, drink it all up. The root of chovish is yabesh, that aside from drying up and withering, also mean to be brought to shame, to cause confusion, to be confounded, and to bring disappointment. Everybody catch that? This means brought to shame, to cause confusion, to be confounded, and to bring disappointment. Let's consider again Yahshua's statement concerning those wanting to come inside but are turned away. And this is Luke 13:26-28. Then shall you begin to say, we have eaten and drank in your presence, and you have taught in our streets. But he shall say, I tell you, I do not know where you are. Depart from me, all you workers of iniquity. And there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, when you shall see Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and the prophets in the kingdom of Yahweh, and you yourselves are driven out. Now, with that in mind, let's consider what Paul had to say about solving this situation. And it says in the Hebrew of 2 Timothy, but let's consider from King Jimmy and the Aramaic point of view as well. King James and the Aramaic agree. It says, study to show yourself approved. A worker need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Is that enough? I study. I know what's right and wrong. But is that enough? It's not really enough if I don't apply it. I don't apply it. So consider what the Hebrew of this verse is. It literally says, exist, live, to show yourself approved, a worker that needs not be ashamed, properly handling the word of truth. There's a lot of difference there, because not only do you know the difference of right and wrong, is now you're handling the word, you're applying it, you're doing what you should do and not doing what you shouldn't do. So next we read the oil languishes. Now, theologians will tell you that the oil represents the Ruach HaKodesh, because there's no concept of Mashiach, there's no concept of the anointing, there's no concept that the oil has to be ignited by something in order to bring forth the light. So the oil represents the anointing of Yahweh that we call Mashiach, that allows the Ruach of Yahweh to connect to us and bring us light. That's why when we say I can do all things through Mashiach that strengthens me, it's because I have that thing surrounding me and dwelling within me, that the spark from the Ruach HaKodesh ignites, and my spirit and the spirit of Elohim unite for me to be able to solve all those things that I can overcome because I receive that strength. But the word for languishes is umlal, that literally means to be weak, to be feeble. And consider the definitions given by the Paleo-Hebrew. In the Paleo-Hebrew, we see the mem is water, and then, I can't ever draw this, and it's terrible, but we see the resh as a head. And what it's showing us is the head of the waters, the headwaters. And if we consider the headwaters, that, where am I? The headwaters of a river, there is only a trickle coming in from the river, and this causes pools of stagnant and bitter waters to form. So if our connection is weak and feeble, then that connection is going to stagnate, and we're not going to get the full blast of what's going on, if we get anything at all. The word for oil is yitzar, that means an oil that produces light. This is the oil used for lighting the lamps. If this oil is weak or feeble, then it will not ignite, bringing forth light. Here we can see a condition of not properly exercising the true word of Yahuwah Elohim. The Adam was created to tend the garden and to work the land so that it would be productive. Even being driven out of the Garden of Eden, he was charged to work the land and to bring forth a crop while removing the thorns and thistles. He'd eaten from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He should know. And he should know what is and what isn't, because he'd also eaten from the tree of life. Has it gotten to be so much easier to simply agree with the thorns and thistles and eat them as well? Yahshua said that the wheat and the tares would be harvested together, but that the wheat would go into the storehouse while the tares would be thrown into the furnace and incinerated. And that's in Matthew 13:24 through 30, if you want to read the story. They go to sleep. They planted a crop. An enemy comes along and plants weeds amongst his grain crop, his wheat crop. And the workers find this out, and they say, hey, you want us to pull up the weeds? He said, no, because if you pull up the weeds, you're going to pull up the wheat too. Let's wait until it's time to harvest it. Then we'll be able to separate the good wheat and put it in our storehouse. And then we'll take those tares, those weeds, and we'll bundle them up, and we'll throw them in the fire and burn them off. They'll become ash, and they'll be no more. We won't have to worry about it. Okay? So having considered all that we've considered at this point, verse 11 shouldn't need a whole lot of commentary, because verse 11 simply says, be ashamed, O you husbandmen, wail, O you vine dressers, for the wheat and for the barley, because the harvest of the field is perished. Hopefully we understand this verse having considered everything we've just considered. Yahshua say, pray to the Father that he send workers, because the harvest is ready. But the workers are not so much to pull up the grain. The workers are coming there also to be able to separate the thorns and the thistles from it. And again, 2 Timothy 2:15 from the Hebrew, exist to show yourself approved, a worker that needs not be ashamed, properly handling the word of truth. If we can do that, then we should be able to answer these two questions. How is your garden doing? And does Yahuwah, your Elohim, know where it is? And with that, we can say grooviness is achieved and open it up for all those wonderful questions. Joel